born on the planets which set the gales licking the heavens, urge lightnings to rip up wide open the bosom of empires ruled over by angels. Yea, prompting proud thunders to threaten Earth's little nest, blinking thunderbolts hurled by their giant. I am composed of storm, wind, and lightning, and thunder, of deluge and typhoon, and tempest, dashing, daring, sharing the rapture of elements, yet here is my secret, center of stillness, out-jetting, ecstatical radii.
Before dawn, on his long morning walk, sniffing springtime in the air, is Harindranath Chatiopadhnaya. An all-encompassing personality, he is a poet, a painter, a dancer, singer, actor and politician. 75 today, but the years sit lightly on him, and his zest for life does not wane with age.
Nature receives me, looks into my nature, and finds her elements in it. Lonely, wandering winds, feeling their way to horizons yet in the making. Waters awakened under the moon to a lavish measure of inward tints flung outwards, breaking to electric silvers and purples and blues that ravish the senses, and the perpetual manifold aching of nature's big womb in my body. Nature receives me because she believes me.
Hyderabad, set like a priceless gem in the heart of India, uniting Hindu and Muslim cultures. It was here that Harinda came into this world on the 2nd of April, 1898.
The newborn infant brings in its closed fist centuried winters, autumns, summers, springs, indestructible mystery, ineluctable history of I exist. I remember the house where I was born. The house in which one is born is really a kind of womb. You enter from the mother's womb right into another womb. That's the womb of the spirit. I loved my childhood. Childhood loved me.
And what a childhood. And what parentage. His father, Dr. Harindranath Chatiopadhnaya, was a renowned scholar, scientist, poet, patron of the arts, and a patriot to the core. His mother, Varada Sundari, was a kind-hearted gentlewoman and a gifted singer.
Was very educated? Never. I was never educated anywhere at all. I've hardly been to school, you know. But my home was a natural university where I found education all the time swimming around me.
The first Doctor of Science in India, Dr. Harindranath, was an ardent educationist. He founded the Hyderabad College, which later became the famous Nizam's College.
But I hear you had been to Cambridge. Of course I've been to Cambridge, but that was on the work I produced when I was hardly 17 years of age. It was a book called The Feast of Youth.
The Feast of Youth attracted wide attention and a 7-page review by Sri Aurobindo. The sage saw in young Harin's work the beginnings of a supreme poetic utterance of the Indian soul in the rhythms of the English tongue.
It's constantly bearing each man like a fetus, yet in projected formation. All birth is yet to be born, since man is unfinished, and still in the making, the fetus awaiting the birth time. All death is as yet to be dead, on the lap of that instant.
Then through the years flowed many literary works from his prolific pen, poetry, prose and plays on myriad themes. Gurudev Tagore considered Harinda an outstanding poet of the time. Harinda is not just a mystic or a romantic poet. Many of his poems and plays are down to earth, permeated with social consciousness, voicing social protest.
The older is marching, the younger is marching. Right through their marching, one hunger is marching. Just watch them a while. They appear the synopsis of a harrowing story of national corpses whose eyeballs are torn and in need of a future before they can hope to look into the future.
Harinda's autobiography, the first volume of it, Life and Myself, was published in 1948 when he was 50.
It is my considered opinion that a man can love only after 50. Below 50, he only falls in love. Here is one of my love poems, written after 50, of course. Spring is coming, spring is coming. That is what I heard this morning from a bird that started humming on a bough. But I answered, it is summer now. So bird, what makes you sing? An anachronistic prophecy of spring, yet with sweet insistence summing up the music in its throat, note by note. Tang on tang of bird drop sound the young bird sang. Spring is coming, coming, coming. Oh, you mean that she is coming? Sorrow is what the Creator creates for. An arrow waits for the breast of the dove. Sometimes the mate must be lost if the lover desires to discover the depth of his love. $3,000 ducats. Well, who will he consider?
The theatre is another love of Harinda. He started acting even as a child and was a pioneer of the theatre movement in India.
Publican he looks. I hate him for he's a Christian. Senor Antonio, many a time enough on the rear though you have rated me about my monies and my usances, and still have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, you spit upon my Jewish gabardine, all for love of that which was mine own. You come to me and say, Shylock, we would have money. You say so, you. This love for the stage has continued right throughout my life. I've done a lot of stage work. I studied my stagecraft in the Soviet Union and under Stanislavski, for instance. And then I came back to India and I went on with the stage, actually. Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage. Somebody else has said, all the stage is a world. Come taste these curds! Come taste these curds! They are white as snow, they are white as birds. Come! The world is full of paddy and the world is full of wheat. The world is full of paddy and the world is full of wheat. Yet there are tens of thousands who have no food to eat. Come! All things are expensive now because of war and strife. All things are expensive now because of war and strife. The only thing that's really cheap today is human life. Come, taste these curds.
The freedom struggle saw the Chattopadhyaya family in the forefront. Harindra's eldest sister, Sarojini Naidu, herself a poet, came to occupy an honored place in the galaxy of national leadership. His brother Harindranath carried on the fight for freedom on foreign soil. And Harindra had his share of jail life. Long afterwards, in 1952, Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh returned Harindra as an independent to free India's first parliament with a thumping majority. Often debating in extempore verse, the poet enlivened the sometimes prosaic proceedings of the House.
The increment in railway fares is very, very fair. It does not touch the ministers who always go by air. Our irrigation budget keeps soaring like a rocket. It does not irrigate the field, it irrigates the pocket.
Harindra had faced film studio lights long ago. In the early years of the cinema, he himself made a film, Azadi, on the tyranny of the zamindars.
Baju! 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 Guru!
তোমার এই টিরিং বিরিং বন্ধ করো, ওখানে বসো, কথা আছে। I laughed and said, oh, what a fuss, what a fuss. I am as fit as a fiddle and right as rain. I am as sound as a pitchfork. You forget that my flesh bears a mind. They didn't realize that I had developed the technique of this creature, the cat, of being able to fall with the rhythm, which of course also means to rise with the rhythm. And this technique I learned after many, many falls in life. From whom did you acquire poetry? From two great masters of the spirit, Sri Aurobindo, the mighty personality, and Sri Ramana Maharishi, the mighty impersonality. Behind all our answers, a question arises, a cry leaping out of self-darkness, sharp as a barbed arrow, piercing itself. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Yea, I am builder, entire of both wholeness and ruin. Since ruin, authentic in quality, needs must be builded. I am builder of commerce and science, of poetry and politics. I sit afloating great vessels along the old waters, never weary of burden receiving. I love youth. I think it's splendid material, magnificent substance. Only that substance, that material, waiting to be molded with love, with understanding, with a friendly approach of equality. This talk of generation gap is rubbish. The generation gap is in the mind. It doesn't exist outside it. Actually, youth...
Bearing ample testimony to what Harindra says is the adoration he receives from the young wherever he goes.
Youth is the truth of the world.
The 10th birthday of his son is being celebrated, and the poet becomes a child among children.
What is the opposite of boy? Fine. Opposite of man? Very good. So then what is the opposite of entry?
We said Harinda was a painter. In fact, it is not the poet who paints. It is the mysterious child, Mana, in him who paints.
Teacher Lucy, no? She said geography. I said Godography. And then she said, Mana, if it is right.
According to Harinda, life is a kaleidoscope of colors, and Mana revels in colors.
Lucy, you want everybody to know I'm going to patch on my trousers. I know one thing.
I find a lot of your work remains unpublished. Tons and tons of it. But where are the publishers? Who is going to come forward to publish work which doesn't deal with excitement, passing excitement, flesh, sex, stupid subjects that live for a day? I write deeper stuff. You know, I sometimes wonder how people call me a poet. They have read nothing of my work, nothing at all, a flea bite. I have tons of work. You know why I write so much? Because the ancestors live in me, dream in me, my ancestors, your ancestors.
क्या ताती ताती बोलो ताती ताती तोता ताती ताती तोता
Harinda's frequent appearances on television are a delight to children and to adults alike. And recently, he has been appointed the first producer emeritus of All India Radio and Television. No ivory tower life for him. Harinda is very much a man of the people. Republic Day 1973, a grateful nation's tribute. The title of Padma Bhushan is conferred on him.
Have you any regrets in life? Regrets? What a question. I have no regrets. I've never had any regrets because I've understood life. He who understands life never regrets because life is a process of giving and taking away. And both are grace, utterance of divine grace. Have you any fear of death? Fear of death? Only those who fear life fear death. I have never feared life. And I don't think death exists actually. It's like walking into another room, that's all, the same house. And what is life? I asked death, whom I met on the way. Life is myself unmasked at the end of the play. And what is death? I asked. Life, whom I met on the way. Death is myself unmasked at the end of the play.